Hey everyone, Regal Reviews here. It's time for my The Good Doctor recap. So to recap on tonight's episode, it almost looked like for a minute they'd had the two patients had similar prognoses. Let's start off with this dad. This dad has kids in preschool, and he's having these issues, and he's been taking all this sort of medication to try to curb the symptoms, but it turns out he has appendicitis, and it actually burst, which is could cause a serious infection. So they try to a complication he ends up having is that because the infection is so severe, he might actually have to have this bag to help him. I think they said the bag would be connected to his digestive tract, so all of his feces would go in there. So Claire comes up with the idea to put something about putting good feces inside the guy to try to help the infection, and it actually worked. But what was interesting is that they have a new character, Dr. Morgan. Yeah, she's a bit of a bitch. I like that there's a new character on there. Kind of brings some unexpectedness to the show. It basically, the episode started off with them having a little competition, and Melendez takes the girls, and I think it's Dr. Lim takes Garrett and Sean. And I thought it was interesting, Melendez took the girls when Dr. Lim took the, I guess, quote-unquote liable doctors, Sean with his autism and Garrett because of his suit he just had on the hospital. So Morgan is kind of getting under Claire's skin. She's always trying to one-up her, and I was questioning if she was being realistic or being a bitch, because she said that she wants to win the spot in the residency. They're only going to maybe keep two people, and they said Sean's probably given because he's Glassman's project, and they probably won't keep Garrett, so it's between her and Claire, which we don't know if that's the case or not, but that's just what Morgan's mindset's thinking. So even though Morgan's cutthroat, I did observe her using some of Claire's ideas. Claire was the one that came up with the idea to put the good feces back in the patient, but then she tried to take it as her own and tried to one-up Claire. And then Claire, is always, she always connects well with the patient. So, in order to make his kids feel less nervous and himself less apprehensive about the surgery, she offered to find a computer to have him Skype with his kids and give the kids teddy bears. And we see later Morgan said in the episode that you shouldn't connect with patients, you just do the surgery and it's over with. But we see her actually connecting with the kids and making funny faces at them. And it was definitely an interesting scenario, because I'm sure we always have that. I found with the jobs I've had, there's always that one person that tries to one-up you. I think we could all agree that there's always that one person that tries to one-up you at work, but Melendez actually said something. Well, he actually gave good advice, saying that Claire shouldn't worry about what Morgan's doing. Well, in a way, well, not really. I mean, pay attention to what Morgan's doing, but don't do what Morgan's doing. Just be yourself. They'll definitely take that into account. The other patient, we thought at first had appendicitis. Turns out it wasn't that. It made the situation more complicated because it was actually a trans patient, meaning that the patient was biologically male but identifies herself as a female. And Sean has never heard of trans people before, or transgender. He said he didn't go to medical school and hear about that. So Sean was definitely curious and asked questions, and he wasn't being transphobic or anything. He genuinely had questions, although I do admit it was funny when they're in the, I believe they're going in the MRI, and it was, the funny part was, us of people with autism, we take things literally. And Garrett says to Sean, stop playing 20 questions. And he's like, well, I only asked 4. I'm like, I thought that was funny. But Sean, they had to correct Sean. And I think they should have. They definitely should have. Because he kept referring to the patient as he instead of her, instead of she. So I think it's good that they corrected Sean on that, because so then he knows. And for the rest of the episode, he was calling Quinn a she. And what Quinn ended up having was testicular cancer. And it wasn't really a complicated surgery. It was just the options, because the one surgery, she would have sex reassignment surgery when she was in 2 years, when she's 18, so they could just, get that done and over with now. But then they think, well, maybe she wants to have kids one day, maybe biological kids one day. And the grandmother is apparently really transphobic and doesn't really accept Quinn for who she is. And I think that's really sad, because if she really loved her grandchild, she would love and accept her no matter what. And she actually I think she actually files something that says the parents are being abusive toward Quinn. And when they have this meeting to determine what course of action to take, they reveal the struggles that Quinn's gone through, and that she should basically just be herself. But a complication arises, and they have to make a decision now what surgery to do now. So they do what's medically necessary, and they do the surgery where she has to wait for sex reassignment surgery. I think that's how you say it, I'm not sure. But Harper's character is struggling with fertility and finds out that he may not possibly be able to have kids because of himself, because of his low sperm count. And he was the one that was partial to having a surgery where she could potentially have biological kids. But Quinn says if she really wants children in the future, if she wants children that bad, then she'll adopt. And her and Sean were able to connect really well. She said that she gave like an analogy, like a pull, how she feels, like how she's misunderstood and everything. And Sean's constantly misunderstood all the time. What I didn't like was Glassman in the board meeting said that, let me look at my notes here to see exactly. I said this in the board meeting, that is it worth it, the sacrifice over an idea that would never be. So I wasn't sure what he was implying there. I'm really pissed at the fact that it seems like he's implying that it was a waste of time to take in Sean and suggest him to work at the hospital because he's basically a lost cause. Or is he referring to the fact that maybe his marriage fell apart? I'm not sure, but I definitely think Glassman's a prick. An ignorant prick. And then he tries to talk with Sean then, because last episode he's given him the cold shoulder and said he couldn't be his friend, and offers to take Sean home and maybe take him out to eat. But Sean said, no, you said you didn't want to be my friend. So he just leaves him there. I'm like, Sean did exactly what he should have done. I mean, Glassman can't keep playing games with Sean. Um, and the other thing, I really miss Leah. I think we could all agree that we miss Leah. Kenny, the neighbor, his neighbor, makes me feel very uneasy. Like, I have a feeling he's going to cause a problem for Sean. He, um, first of all, hooked up a cable line up to Sean's dish until he can get cable back. And then the creepiest thing is he's able to break into Sean's apartment when the door's locked. I'm like, I was freaking out there. I didn't know what he was going to do. And then he just sits there, not even welcome. Sean didn't even welcome him in. He just goes and sits there and watches TV with Sean when he's about ready to go to sleep. And I guess Sean uses Kenny's break-in skills and helps him get into, I guess it's his apartment pool. And he wonders why Sean's not doing laps in the pool, because Sean previously stated he doesn't like to swim. But Sean says he's understanding, referring back to his conversation with Quinn and how people don't understand Quinn because she's transgender, and people don't understand Sean because he has autism. And it's true. People have no idea what people with autism go through. Like, if people could walk a day in our shoes, they'd see how at times how tough our life can be. It's just, so I hope you guys enjoyed The Good Doctor. The Good Doctor is not on for 3 weeks. But if you want to catch The Good Doctor, it is on Mondays, 10 p.m. on ABC. Until next time, stay regal.